All right, we should be live.
All right.
All right, thank you guys so much for taking the time to check out my video. Today I'm chatting live with Jay Bartlett. He's a action figure collector. I've been following Jay's channel for a while now, and he's got just amazing content. So definitely check that out. He's got it posted on his side of the video. But yeah, tonight we're just going to talk about Jay and everything that he's doing and working on. And yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time to check it out. Jay, thanks so much for coming on, of course.
Yeah, dude, it's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. We've gone back and forth a little bit now, and I'm glad we found a time that wasn't on Easter. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. So, hey, King, thanks for hopping in the chat there. Yeah, so growing up for me, one thing that's really caught my attention watching your channel is the Star Wars figures, because growing up, me and my brother would definitely go hunting for some vintage figures, just little collectible shops that we would find, and we would hunt the Star Wars figures. So I think that's the first time I saw your channel was you were reviewing, I think like a vintage like AT-AT or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of documentary stuff. The YouTube thing I started just over a year ago. It was just to keep me busy, more or less, during the pandemic, and I really wanted to learn lighting. I taught myself editing, all that stuff. So I've only been at it for a year, but it's so rewarding. It's so fun, as you know, putting up a video and just seeing people's reactions, and I love it, man. It's just a blast.
Yeah. Well, you do great work, and I was looking around a little bit, and before I obviously have some questions to ask you, but I saw the documentary that you were part of that came out on Blu-ray, the action figure adventure. I watched the trailer for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's created by myself and brilliant filmmaker who's also my best friend, Rob McCallum. Rob and I have done Nintendo Quest together. He's done The Power of Grayskull, which is a documentary on Masters of the Universe. And we were kind of, we wanted to come up with a sequel to Nintendo Quest, but not do like Super Nintendo Quest, because we didn't think anything would live up to the NES, to be quite honest, in the history of gaming. We have tons of passions: music, and of course toys. We've always collected toys, even when you weren't supposed to collect toys when you were a young adult. We were still doing that stuff.
Right.
So it just made sense, and yeah, it just went from there.
Yeah, I watched the trailer, and I gotta ask if you got to meet Kevin Smith or not, because I saw that he was kind of interviewed. Did you get to talk to him or?
Yeah, I've met Kevin a few times. I was not there. That was at the PowerCon in California. So Rob got to interview him, but that's what he does, right? He sets up all that stuff. He does the interviews, and I'm the hunter guy, right? That's my role in all of this. But Kevin is, I mean, like yourself, I'm sure. Rob and I grew up with Kevin Smith in the three Jersey trilogy movies, and they were like religion to us, right? So
yeah,
to have him in our film on the marquee is it's quite an honor. Sorry, in our series, it's quite an honor.
Yeah, well, it looks great. I definitely want to buy it and check it out, because I could tell he does great work. Like, it looked just like a very interesting documentary, the way he portrayed it, and everything just looked great. I mean, it looks like something that I would turn the TV on and I would see that on like the History Channel or something like that, where a documentary about that. And then on top of that, you can talk more about it, but your goal in mind when you were going around to find those rare action figures, about helping with a children's hospital, is that?
Yeah, so if anyone who's watching is not familiar, our first project was called Nintendo Quest, and it was following me around trying to get all 700 NES games in less than 30 days.
Wow.
We always talked about if it could be done, and so he dared me, and I thought about it a few days. I'm like, well, if I commit to this, I've got to commit to it, right? And that's quite the feat. That was a personal goal of mine. It was something that I wanted to accomplish in my life. So again, this is like the spiritual successor. So instead of me getting the toys for just myself and for my collection, I've worked with the Children's Hospital for about 5 years now. So I decided to front the cash, and then, we were going to pick 10 Grail-like items that I came across North America, and those would go up for auction, and that's what we did.
That is amazing stuff, man.
Thank you.
That's really awesome. DeBoss, thanks so much for joining the stream. He said this guy seems to really know his stuff, and he does, DeBoss. You need to definitely subscribe to Jay. His videos are definitely top notch. But yeah, I'm excited to watch that whole documentary and see you go through that experience. But I'll definitely post a link as well in the description of this video. You guys need to check out the trailer, and then I'll also post, if it's okay with Jay, I'll post where you can buy the Blu-ray as well. So
of course, yeah, right now it's available at Big Bad Toy Store. So anyone who's a collector knows this site. It's the greatest retail toy site on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. And they were kind enough to take our Blu-ray, so you can get it right now on Big Bad Toy Store. It's a 10-episode docu-series, so
wow.
Check it out. Yeah.
That is awesome. I definitely want to check out that website. I don't know why I'm not familiar with that, but that's awesome.
Big Bad Toy Store is wicked, man. I do a couple orders there a month. It's they're completely professional. Are you in the States?
Yeah.
You're in the US, yeah, okay. It'll get to you a lot quicker than it gets to me. It'll be a lot cheaper for you as well because there's no conversion. But they package everything professionally. Everything is always mint, and you can pre-order stuff at no cost to yourself. It's just great.
I gotta check that out because I still collect some things too. I'm very nostalgic, and
I think we all do to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely all do. Yeah.
Especially during the pandemic, I think everybody hopped back in some older things. I know Pokemon got incredibly hot.
Pokemon got hot. Leonhardt, I'm sure you know who Leonhardt is. Anyone who's a Pokemon card enthusiast knows this guy. And I single-handedly hold him responsible for blowing up Pokemon the way it is today.
Really?
He's just a fabulous YouTuber. He's so positive and so energetic. But his channel, man, just exploded. And then Pokemon has just taken off. Now all these big YouTubers and celebrities, everyone's collecting them and buying them, and they're worth quite a bit.
They really are. It's unbelievable what the market has done. I actually remember probably 4 or 5 years ago, I was looking at a first edition Charizard on eBay because I went back and found my old cards, and I was like, well, I want to get the first edition of them, and at least the final 3 evolutions of the starters, so Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. So I was looking at them, and I was like, the first edition Charizard, I remember looking at one for around $150, and I was like, I just can't justify that. And now it's like, thousands upon thousands of dollars, and
it's really nice to see. I love to see passion in any sorts like that, whether it's sports cards, comic books, whatever you're into. I love to see people just go nuts for this stuff, man. And the pandemic has really made us kind of all get back to what we really love and what's really important to us, and a lot of childhood stuff too, right? Because at the beginning of this whole thing, I mean, it's still scary, but at the beginning, everyone was terrified. Nobody knew what was going on, so there was a lot of expendable income thrown out there, right?
Yeah.
I'm just glad we're almost at the end.
Definitely. That's for sure. I'm sure that limited you on being able to get out and collect too and check out these.
Yeah, well, for season 1 of Action Figure Adventure, we'd done principal photography. So we just, unfortunately, the auction, we had a hall booked and we couldn't shoot there because of the pandemic. So I'm not going to wreck anything, but we had to come up with creative ways to do the auction. I think it turned out well.
That's awesome. Yeah, everybody's definitely found other ways to do things and due to the pandemic, and definitely will change life as we know it moving forward. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into these questions. I don't want to take too much of your night. So first up, probably the most generic question I could possibly ask. When did you start collecting? What your basically your earliest memory of that?
Well, I am 45, so I was around the very beginning of Star Wars, and I remember getting the original Kenner figures, and just loving everything about the card art. And I remember, opening the packages very carefully, even when I was a kid, because I didn't want to destroy that beautiful art,
Right.
And not wanting to throw them away. And everyone thought I was crazy and all that kind of stuff. But, I was always a big fan of the way that old school libraries looked, book-wise. So I always wanted to have a collection of whatever it was like that. So you'd walk into a room and you see a huge collection of games, and it's very impressive, or like action figures or comic books. I just like the idea of having everything neat and clean looking. So when everyone was selling their Nintendo and their Super Nintendo to get, the PlayStation and the Dreamcast and all that, I kept all that stuff, because the old games to me are like old movies. Like, how many times do we go back and watch Kevin Smith stuff from the 90s, right?
Right.
So to me, it didn't make sense to get rid of it. And at the time, there was no internet. And there was retro video games. No one cared. You wanted the latest and greatest, right? So for me to get rid of the Nintendo games or the Super or the Genesis stuff, I didn't know if I could ever get it again.
Right.
Because that stuff was basically garbage back then. So I just kept it. To answer your question, I've been collecting my entire life. It's just something I do. Yeah,
that is really awesome. And you were born around the time that was like the gold age of Star Wars figures and everything. Like,
yeah, it was. I grew up in the 80s, and it was such an incredible time for everything. It was a time of complete excess, and you could see that in the toys, all the amazing IPs we got, music, films, everything was just big. And, it's just a really special time.
Oh, absolutely. I wish I grew up in the 80s. Unfortunately, I'm a 90s baby, but I definitely respect everything from the 1980s. Bombita, thank you so much for joining the chat. Bombita said manga, anime, and Japanese stuff. So I'm assuming that's what Bombita is. And are you into any of that, Jay?
No. I must confess that stuff's really cool, but you only have so much time and energy, right? And I'm into a lot of stuff. Anime, I'm into Robotech, which is Macross in Japan, and I like Akira was a great film. That's about the extent. I'm aware of everything else. I don't watch it.
Right. Yeah. There's only so much time in the day. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get on to another question here. This one is very interesting. I mean, you probably don't have a single item, but if you had to choose one, what is your favorite collectible that you've ever gotten, and is there a story behind that?
Like toy-wise, or?
I would say toy-wise, yeah.
That's right there. That aircraft carrier right behind me.
The aircraft carrier.
The 1985 USS Flag from G.I. Joe.
Oh, nice.
It is the biggest playset in toy history. It still is the biggest playset, 7.5 feet long.
Oh my goodness.
And it's even to this day, every time I see it, it was just one of those things as a kid that it was so big, it was like an illusion.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show in the mid 80s how big these toy companies were. Like that flag cost millions and millions of dollars to develop. It sold for $109 in 1985, and now it's worth thousands of dollars.
Oh my goodness, that was my next question: is what is it worth, and how many? I mean, is there any idea how many are left of those? Because there can't be a lot, right? Like being that big.
The problem with the flag is when it's put up, you cannot move it. It doesn't move. There's pieces. There are 151 pieces that make the USS Flag. So to find one 100% complete is pretty rare. So there's a lot out there, but a lot of them have been destroyed over the years. Missing parts. You can see the hull, the white hull there. A lot of those have gone yellow. You know, the discoloration and that kind of thing.
Right.
I didn't get the flag until just last year.
Oh, wow.
One my entire life, and I finally found one for a good price, so I pulled the trigger. But by far, that's my favorite.
That's amazing. Bombita asked how long it took to build, and I think we just covered what the price was. They said $109 in 1985, which in 1985, that's a lot of money too.
That is,
so,
and I remember seeing it at Toys R Us, going down the aisle. I'll never forget it. The box is huge. I don't have the box. I wish I had the box.
oh man, yeah,
It's gigantic.
right.
How long did it take to build? The first time, about 4 hours, but
Wow.
I put it together and built it about 3 times. So now it takes about 40 minutes, maybe. It's
got it
really
down
easy.
pat.
It's like anything once you know how to do it, right?
Right.
At first, it's quite daunting, and because it's so old, the plastic's very brittle. There's a lot of clips, and you have to be very, very careful because you can snap stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the
Not
thing
what it
with that too, being as a kid, is 7.5 feet long. First of all, what kid is going to have any space to put that anywhere, and what parent's
Yeah.
going to be crazy enough to buy that, right? So
Right.
for GI Joe collectors, that's pretty much the holy grail there.
Oh, I can't imagine. That's amazing. Wow. That is I'm glad you have a definitive answer because you have so many things. I could see it being very hard to come up with one, but I'm so glad you found it.
Yeah, no, me too, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a childhood dream come true. And again, right, 2020, I got it in summer of 2020. I'm like, why not?
That's crazy.
So yeah,
During the pandemic as well. That's
yeah. A store we shot at, Dark Matter, which is a fantastic store,
Mhm.
about half an hour up the road here. There's a big GI Joe dealer, and he and the store owner helped me grab it. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so here's some more questions for you. So if you could sum up, and these are really vague. I'm sorry, they're not
Dude, it's fine.
very open-ended, but
It's all good.
what would you say drives you to continue to collect? I mean, obviously you said you've been doing this for your entire life now. What motivates you to keep on doing it?
I mean, collecting anything. I'll use games and toys as an example. I mean, there's an ending to it, but there isn't really an ending to it. The problem with me, and I'll use toys for this example, is that I was introduced, my mom she gave me everything as a kid, right? So I was introduced everything that was on TV, all the cartoons. You got to remember in the 80s, right? You had the cartoon was made to sell the toy was made to sell the cartoon. They went hand in hand, right? So all these different series always had a cartoon, which got you more excited, and they introduced a new character, then you want to go to the store and get that new character, right?
Right.
There were so many different series, and I just got introduced to all of that. My problem is I can't say no. Like I can't like Star Wars is my number one. It always will be, but I can't just like Star Wars, right? Because I love GI Joe, I love Transformers, I love Masters of the Universe, and on and on.
Right.
Like video games. I love the NES, but I love Genesis, and I love the TurboGrafx and blah, 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 right? So I just have a passion for a lot of this, which is, it's a never-ending thing. So if you're a collector out there who can narrow it down and say, I'm just going to collect G.I. Joe, then good for you, man, because I cannot do that.
Yeah. I think the great thing about that, too, is that I feel like if you do stick to one specific genre, if you will, then you will eventually hit an end. I mean, you could wait year to year, but for you, it just seems endless with that many different things.
To answer the beginning part of your question, it's the thrill and the excitement of acquiring a new piece. Especially when you're going into a store not having anything in mind, and you find something, you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen that forever. Or that one Star Wars figure you never had. I always find that too, like as we're adults now, we can afford this stuff.
Yes.
When I started my adult collecting, which would have been in about 2000, 2001, when I really got into the adult collecting, when it was kind of acceptable.
Right.
That's when I started going back and getting, okay, well, I never had Stormtrooper Luke from the 1985 line. I'm going to go back and get that sumbitch right now. You know what I mean? First thing, I don't care if it's a couple $100, I'm getting it.
Yeah, you got it. You can afford it.
So yeah, It just gives me such joy and such pleasure, and it's I built a career around it, right? So
You really have, and
yeah.
that's the beautiful part of it. Bombita asked, and this is a very good question: is there something you've set your mind to get to add to your collection? Is there something right now that you really are wanting to add?
There always is.
Hmm.
Bombita, that's a really cool name.
I love it too.
There is always something. Right now, it would be the 1978 Mego Buck Rogers Starship,
Oh
uh,
wow.
which is next to impossible to find in good condition because the Mego stuff, Mego's a toy company, wasn't the greatest quality.
Hmm.
So a lot of them have broke over time, but there's always something like the flag was on my list for years.
Right.
But with something that big and with so many pieces, I didn't want to buy one that was 50% complete because sometimes the parts themselves are more expensive than just trying to get as much as you can at once.
Yeah, that makes
I'm
sense.
going to say that. Game wise, I've slowed down quite a bit on the game collecting. Game collecting is very different now than when we shot Nintendo Quest. There's a lot of bootlegs, there's a lot of fakes
Hmm.
of the old cartridges now, and it's taken a lot of the fun out of it. So I've slowed down a bit on the game collecting. So I don't have an answer for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely hate the reproductions. I feel like ultimately it also boosts the cost of the originals as well, those reproductions. So it makes them even some of them even harder to get because of that.
I don't mind if they slap a repro sticker on it. I
Yeah.
don't. That doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
In fact, we ran across a couple of reproductions of Stadium Events, which is the big game for the NES, and
Hmm.
I don't mind that. That's fine. It's these other shady people that try and pass it off as like Little Samson for NES is just worth a fortune, and the sticker is pristine. Oh, it's a 10 out of 10 condition, and then you find out it's a fake, right? So that's.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is
you're never gonna stop that stuff, right? Unfortunately,
right.
yeah.
As long as there's people, they're gonna find a way to corrupt it. So,
Indeed.
okay, so here's another question for you. What is, and you might have already just answered this question, but what is the most rare item that you have? Is it the
Oh, the rare.
flagship?
Um,
Any item?
oh, that's. I don't know if I can answer that off the top of my head.
And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be financially, it could be, it's just hard to get. I mean,
But there's so many toys that I have that are extremely rare. I don't know if I can narrow it down. Um, yeah, I don't have an answer for that. Video game wise, again, there's still people who haven't seen Nintendo Quest, so I can't spoil that.
that's true. That's true.
If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So there are things. Toy wise, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a definitive answer for you.
Too
I have a
many.
ton of vintage that it's all priceless to me, right? Everyone says to
Yeah.
me, why don't you sell your toy collection? You could buy this or that. It's like, well, because if I sold it, I would just want to buy more toys because they're worth more to me than money is, right?
Right. Yeah. That whole, you can't put a price on nostalgia, and that nostalgia factor is very powerful.
It is, especially like we talked about, this last year and a bit when things have been so dire and we've turned to all these things that made us feel good in the past, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think people cleaned out some closets during the pandemic and found some old things they forgot about, and that definitely boost that
Yeah.
collecting.
Oh, 100%. You know what? I'll throw it out there. Probably it's not worth a lot money wise, but I'm going to say my original Luke Skywalker Kenner figure. I don't really have it, but I did have it up until I lost my mom in January. And so Luke
Oh,
went with her because I found that it was appropriate. She's the one who got me to Star Wars. So that I would say would be my
wow, that's amazing.
prized possession. Yeah, she used to put nail polish on the bottom of the feet of the figures. So when I took them to school, they wouldn't get lost or,
Oh, right.
wouldn't try and swipe it, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that the New Hope Luke that I had was my favorite thing.
You still have that for sure. Then I'm sorry to hear that, but that's
No, man, no.
that's
I didn't mean to turn it into that. I just
no, not at all.
that meant a lot to me. So that kind of went with her kind of thing.
Yeah. That is priceless right there. There's no definitely no money price for that. So what would you say is your future goals or plans for collecting? Is there more documentaries, coming? Is there more? Is there any plans as far as your collecting goes? Are you just gonna kind of just go day by day and add to it?
Well, we always have plans. So Action Figure Adventure is available on Blu-ray at Big Bad Toy Store. It also is on TV here in Canada. It's on a channel called the Super Channel on James
Wow.
Sports. So it's actually on TV. Looking at doing season 2.
Nice.
We also have a podcast called the Jay and Rob Toy Show, which also got bought by that network. So we just got finished shooting those episodes. And then they bought yet another show that we're doing, which is called 5 Favorite Figures. So yeah, we're super busy doing all that. And Rob just launched today a Kickstarter for a documentary called Faking Filmation, which is about James Eatock, who's a huge Masters of the Universe fan, created his own Masters of the Universe cartoon revolving around the character Faker from Masters of the Universe, and wants to get that out there, but he's having some legal troubles, as you can imagine. So that Kickstarter just started. And then I'm doing the YouTube stuff. I'm trying to do 2 videos a week, but the schedule's pretty packed, so I at least get 1 out, but I'm trying to do 2 again.
Right.
So yeah, always working. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. That's incredible.
Yeah, YouTube. I got a sub to your channel too as well. YouTube is the biggest tips I can give that I've learned in the last year is consistency is the key. Once you stop being consistent, you lose your audience. People expect, you drop your videos on Tuesday at 9. They want to see it Tuesday at 9, right? So lots of times you wake up and you're like, oh man, the last thing I want to do right now is shoot this video, but you got to do it. That's what separates the success on YouTube. You got to do it.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And that's definitely what I've found. I think we live in a society with a very short attention span, and one that is very forgettable. And you have to be a part of that weekly schedule to be able to definitely boost your numbers and subscribers.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it's there's a lot of times when I thought it was daunting when I hit around 500 subs. I was like, oh my God, like that's it. Like, but you got to take every subscriber you get, celebrate it. You got to celebrate it, and that's a win. And you're going to lose some down the road, and that's okay too. Just keep working at it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that, I think it definitely finding the content that you're passionate about as well. I think that's been a little bit of a struggle for me in finding my niche, but finding something that I feel like that I can get excited about and motivated about. Because honestly, for me, I started a video game channel, and video games will forever be, nostalgic. It's right there with Star Wars in general. It's 2 of the most nostalgic things in Pokemon that will always be very important to me. But I'm a sports guy, to be honest with you. Like, I know I'm a sports junkie. I know way too much information about it. So there would be days where I would not feel like putting up a video game video just because I'm still learning about them at the same time. But I've definitely wanted to branch out and talk to people like you who are definitely making a big difference in what you're doing. And
at first, keep it to one thing. So you like Pokemon, you like video games, you like sports.
Yeah.
The biggest tip I can give you is to just pick one of those, or have different channels for each of those. But until you get really, really big on YouTube and people are just tuning in to see you, you're only going to tune in to see you, talk about Call of Duty or whatever it is. That's what they care about, is what you're doing.
Right.
So just stick to one thing. Yeah. So when I did mine, it was like, okay, I was thinking about doing games, but I didn't really want to do the capture card editing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just did the toy reviews, and I love doing it. And I would search the figure I was doing, and if there's 1,000 other people doing it, I didn't let that stop me. I'm like, I don't care. I want to do it, so I'm going to do it, right?
Yeah.
You just got to try and step up your game and make it better than everyone else.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what I've done for the longest time. I did video game reviews and things, but here lately I've kind of went the Xbox Game Pass route, where I just kind of update people, because I found that I wasn't big enough for, and I completely understand, but my opinion doesn't necessarily matter. But I feel like I don't know what that is. But yeah, basically I've stuck to that. I put up Game Pass videos, just kind of updating what's coming for the next month or so. And but getting back to my point, people don't necessarily care what I think about a game, because I'm not quite big enough for that yet. And instead of doing like my top 5 videos, I went the more informal route of videos, and that's helped a lot.
Let me tell you, there's nothing on YouTube more popular than top 10 lists or top 5 lists. Don't shortchange yourself there. I will search top 10 Star Wars Black Series. I don't care who's talking about it. I just want to see more of that thing I love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so never forget that, right? So if you want to do top 10 Call of Duty's, top 10 World of Warcraft expansions, whatever you want to do, just do it, man, because those lists are huge. Those are some of the biggest videos on YouTube are top 10 lists.
Right.
And people never get sick of that stuff.
Yeah, I've definitely done them in the past, but yeah, something I've definitely went the informal route, and I've definitely got the most popular videos that I've found. So I've become an Xbox Game Pass channel more or less, but I want to do more things like this and kind of dive into different avenues of collecting and just other channels. I'd much rather talk to other people about what they're doing than focus just solely on Game Pass too, because that does get repetitive as well.
Yeah, I could see that. Again, it's just it's such a weird kind of balance, right? Because you want to do what's going to get people to tune in. At the same time, you want to do what you love, because if you're sitting down shooting a video every week and you don't care about what you're talking about, that's going to come through the camera.
Yeah,
people are going to see that, right? So it's a tough
Absolutely.
balance. I would just go with what you want to do, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it'll get there. And Bombita said it took me years to get where I'm at. It's different for me because I started doing documentaries. So I started doing that, which was big productions and stuff like that. And the YouTube thing I started during the pandemic, and that's all me. So I kind of went backwards, right? So I'm doing the YouTube second, but I've only been doing it for a year. And I'm at the point now where I'm making money from it. So it should take you, if you're consistent, about a year, I would say.
Yeah, right.
And
absolutely. Well, when did there's another question off of that. When did you start doing the documentaries? When did that begin?
Nintendo Quest was 2013. It was released in 2015. And then we did Nintendo Quest Power Tour, which was a follow-up, which is where we toured the movie across North America. We started in Beverly Hills. And It was basically like you would follow a band around, right? You'd follow a band around to all their shows or their dates. And that was so much fun, going to all the different cities and screening it for people and seeing everyone's reactions and getting to hang out with everybody and party and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
And then Action Figure Adventure Season 1 we shot in 2019. And that's out just right now. So,
wow, that's really cool. So about 8 years or so that you've been doing it. And
yeah, Rob and I have been doing this for almost 10 years now. Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what did you do before you started diving into that?
I had a number of different jobs. Don't really talk about that stuff, my personal life, too much. So
sure,
forgive me there, but
no.
It's safe to say that I've done a lot of Joe jobs in my time. So I realized quickly, like I wasn't a school guy, right? I didn't like school. I didn't like college, any of that stuff. I was always drawn to film and fantasy and video games, and that's just the stuff I was passionate about. Even though I was told you can't make a living at that, you can't do that, I did it anyway. Right?
You did.
So, yeah,
absolutely. Bombita had a question as well. What would you give tips and advice for a collector or beginner?
Oh, Bombita, listen to my sage-like advice, my friend. Don't go down the path that I've gone, which is uncontrollable everything. I would say to you, have a goal, have a focus. So if you're doing toys, pick a line and set a goal. For instance, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, was 1982 to 1994 was that run, okay? So if you want to collect all those figures, set that as your goal. Where you're going to have the problem is, you're not just going to like G.I. Joe, right? You're going to like Star Wars, and you like Brave Star and Thundercats, and remain focused. That's all, because it can get overwhelming and very costly. Yeah.
Here's a question that popped in my head. What do you think about Funko Pops and that craze?
Yeah. I had about 150 Star Wars ones.
Wow.
That I dumped. I shouldn't say dump. I sold them because here's my thing. I think they're very charming, and I get it. I've seen so many people say, "Oh, look at that stupid thing. Why do I want that bobblehead?" And then they'll see something from a series that never had figures. Oh my God, this Breakfast Club pops. Is that Breakfast Club? Now it's cool to them, right? Or they see like Golden Girls, right? So then they get it. I think one or two are quite charming, but when you have a wall, Funko Pops, in my opinion, they take up a lot of real estate, although they stack nicely.
You're right.
I don't like them out of the box. I don't think they look good out of the box.
I don't either. I
kept
can't
them in the box, and they take up too much room, and the price is really going up. So I can do a 6-inch Star Wars Black Series. Canadian dollars is $29. And our Pops are now like $17.99. Pops used to be $10, and that made sense.
$17.99?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And you put that sticker, like whatever exclusive, it's like a Walgreens, Walmart exclusive, whatever.
Yeah.
The $2 on top of that. Can't do it. So I unloaded all my Star Wars ones. I kept one, my favorite character, or my favorite parts in Star Wars, which is Jedi Knight Luke when he enters Jabba's palace.
Oh, yes.
I kept that one, and I kept Ralphie from Christmas Story. I kept those two, and the rest went. Yeah, like I said, you can only collect so much, and you'll only have so much space, right? So
right.
I think they're great. I love seeing the passion from people who don't normally collect things.
Yeah.
Collect Pops. I think it's great.
It is.
Hobby, yeah.
It really is. That's awesome. I definitely had to ask that because it's just been such a craze coming over from, what was it, Japan, that they had them, and then it kind of just migrated to the U.S.
Yeah, that Funko doc that was on Netflix is awesome.
I haven't watched that.
I don't know if it's on, again, you have the U.S. one, which is much better than the Canadian Netflix, but we had it on there for about a year or so. I don't know if it's still on. I can't remember what it's called. You have to look it up.
Yeah.
It was the start of Funko, and how it was just two dudes that would go around yard selling, collecting old vintage toys and signs and stuff nobody wanted in the 90s, right? And that's how Funko started.
Wow.
Really,
I definitely want to check that out.
Now, obviously, they're gazillionaires, right?
Yeah, they got it made.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Bombita also asked, are you happy where you're at, or would you like, basically, he says, more and hard work for more. So I'm assuming, do you have any bigger challenges, bigger goals coming up that you want to do, or are you kind of content with where you're at in the moment?
I'm always hungry, and we're working on deals to get Action Figure Adventure worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what we want. So we're always working, and I say we, my partner's Rob, the guy that I do everything with, film-wise. Yeah, we always are aiming for more. We never really settle. I'm very happy with what I've accomplished. Of course, I mean it's really a dream come true, right? So, but we want more. I don't think there's a lot of professionally done toy documentaries out there. There's the Toys That Made Us, that's amazing, but nothing kind of like what we're doing, where you take like American Pickers, Toys That Made Us, you kind of mash it together and you get this, and then spliced in with industry interviews. So we're working on get worldwide distribution. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I have a good goal for you, Jay, and this is what I want to see happen.
Okay.
That is, I want to turn on Netflix in the US, and I want to see Action Figure Adventure seasons 1 through 5.
Yeah, well, we're working on that. We're working on it. Again, I have so many NDAs. I can't remember what I can talk about, what I can't talk about. To be honest.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
I didn't think about that.
No. Don't be sorry. But yeah, the goal is to get it on every streaming platform. Like, we want it everywhere. I mean, we want their art everywhere, right? That's our goal. That's what we're working on, and it's quite doable. It's just nonstop work, right? But I wouldn't trade it. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, I would be so excited for you, because I feel like Netflix is just so dominant, over the streaming media. I mean, that's got to be a goal. You said you're working on it, of course, but that's got to be one of your goals on your list.
Netflix is the biggest, yeah. Nintendo Quest has been on everything. So that's still, you can watch it now on Amazon Prime, and the Power Tour is still on Amazon Prime, which it was on I remember the first day it was on the PSN, and I turned on the PlayStation, and it just came up, and I was like, wow, it's pretty surreal, right? It's like being in a band, and when you're cruising down the road, you hear your song on the radio, you're like, wow, it's kind of
that is
like an out-of-body experience. It's really hard to explain, but I've never taken this for granted, and I've never at any point I don't know, that we've just never taken it for granted. We're always, every step of the way, happy with what we've accomplished, and we want to work harder and just make it better and better.
Yeah. Well, you seem like a very humble guy, and I knew you were a great guy just watching the trailer for season 1 when you said that was your goal, and you had a comment at the end about serving others, and I loved that comment or quote, and I don't know if you just came up with it on the spot, but I loved how you worded it. It was do you remember what I'm talking about? The quote where you said
I do, yeah. It was actually shot down here. When I get in front of the camera for this or Nintendo Quest, nothing about any of these documentaries is rehearsed or fake. Mm-hmm. So even when I walk into a store, you get one chance, one take, because I'm not an actor, right? So you can't recreate the surprise of walking into a toy store or game store for the first time, and they're all so different, and it just from one another, right?
Yeah.
So Rob fires the questions at me, and sometimes our interviews are like 3-4 hours long, and he'll get like 1 or 2 things out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I remember that, and it just kind of comes to me, but I really mean it, especially again that time, my mom, who, like I said, she passed away. She had a hard battle with Alzheimer's. So when we were shooting season 1, it was kind of in the heart of all that. So it really affected me, and it really changed my outlook on things, where, of course I wanted to help the Children's Health Foundation, but because she made me who I was, it was really important to me to go out there and do this for her, and then to give back to people.
Right.
It's not to say we didn't buy toys for ourselves in these stores.
Of course. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. But yeah, the mission, I just thought it was more appealing than watching someone just going out and serving themselves. Right. So
yeah. No, I love the idea. And I know you're working on season 2, but are we allowed to know if that's kind of the premise moving forward, or is there like different directions that the show could take?
That I can't say. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get electric shocks like in Ghostbusters.
I'm walking the line right now. I'm not
sorry. Man, no, it's good job. No, it all depends on how well season 1 does, how well we can sell it. To if there's going to be a season 2, we're pretty confident there will be. but it all depends. Oh, look at this chat blowing up here, Lisa.
There you go. Where are you going on your next tour for season 2? Are you allowed? I mean, you might not be allowed to say that as well. So,
my first stop 100% will be West Coast, California, 100%.
Yeah,
I think Northern California. We would like to do West Coast tour. Depending on everything, who knows? I might not have to go to California. We might just do a Canadian tour. It's hard to say, but
there you go.
I love New York and I love California. I've been to both, and you can't beat both of those states. Are just incredible. So I would be happy with either, but I would prefer West Coast for sure.
Right. Well, if you ever make it into Indiana, that's kind of where I'm from. So we
shot there a bunch, man, with Todd.
Really?
Yeah.
What part? Like northern Indiana or what?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Probably Indianapolis was involved, I would assume.
I can't remember. I don't remember. I was just in the production van, and each city is so different from the next, which is I love traveling, but excuse me, at the same time it all becomes a blur after a while.
I bet.
So yeah.
I bet.
But we were there.
That's pretty cool. I love that. Yeah, Lisa says come to Cali. So yeah, California is an amazing state.
It is.
Really is.
We like I said, we premiered Nintendo Quest on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills.
Oh my goodness!
It was Quentin Tarantino's private screening room.
Wow.
He wasn't there, of course, but we somehow managed to book it, and no one showed up yet. And just a couple dudes from Canada stepped out of the theater onto Rodeo Drive, and I was just like, "What the? What's going here? Like this is just insane." And then we went to Vegas and then Texas, and it was just like,
wow,
party. It was wicked.
That is incredible, unbelievable. So yeah, what would you say that your YouTube goals are? You said you started about a year ago. It kind of was something to pass the time a little bit, but at the same time, you're also building your brand and building, what you have created. What would you say is really next for you on YouTube?
Well, I would like to do a lot more toy store tours. I would like to do a lot more. I would like to get a crew together and shoot toy stores, do more interview stuff. I think my channel is big enough now that I can do that. But the problem is, of course, the pandemic, and that's a huge obstacle. So I would like to get out more and shoot different locations. I mean, I love doing the individual piece and helping people decide if they want to grab that Back to the Future toy or not, right?
Right.
I'm happy to buy it for your entertainment, believe me. So, that would be a goal, just to kind of grow that a little more.
Yeah, that would be a segment in itself for sure.
Yeah, that's a little bit more production-wise, than you need, a crew and that kind of thing. So, but I'm not opposed to something like that. I think it would be really cool. Just something a bit different than the unboxing stuff.
Right. Do you think that when the pandemic does continue to let up, we hope that the documentaries will kind of get in the way of YouTube, or do you think that you've got a pretty good balance on that, or how do you think those kind of intertwine and together, I guess?
Well, like I said, we're shooting 2 new TV shows. So we just wrapped up one last Friday, the Friday before, and we're starting shooting the 3rd TV show this Friday. So, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. The problem with that stuff is, as you know, being in front of the camera, you got to be high energy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see a guy like, "Oh, hi, welcome to the show," kind of thing, right?
Right.
You got to be high energy. And there's a lot of times, like I said, where I'm not in that space or I don't feel like it. But that's the difference between success and staying where you are, is pushing yourself and driving yourself to that point. It's tough to balance, but it's all fun, man. It doesn't really feel like work to me.
Right.
Which is the best part, right? When I get a paycheck from this stuff, it's like, oh yeah, like, because it's just two best friends having fun with a film crew, and I don't know. It's just turned out to be this wonderful life experience.
Yeah,
I love every second of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I definitely want to check everything out as well. Nintendo Quest and action figure adventure for sure. What this is a little question I have too. What
Sure.
is there anybody I guess is anyone famous that you've met like along the way? Who would you say is the most famous or maybe the most enjoyable person that you met that might have been a celebrity that you got to meet with all of these opportunities that you had to travel, and like you said, you had the Quentin Tarantino private screening and all that. Is there any people along the way that you got to meet and you're like, wow, this is pretty crazy?
I met two people that changed my life, but it wasn't during a production, so I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I met Mark Hamill,
Oh my goodness,
it was 5 years ago now, just before Force Awakens came out. I had about 2 minutes with him, and you will know as a Star Wars fan, dude, I was like fucking speechless. Like I
can't imagine.
He's a small guy, right? He's like me. He's 5'7", exactly the same height as me. So hey, anyone makes fun of my height, I'm like, dude, I'm Luke Skywalker's height. So,
yeah. So what are you gonna say? Right? Yeah.
It's weird, man. And I don't want to freak anyone out, but looking into his eyes, you get this flash of everything from when you were a kid, Star Wars wise, and how many times you watch these movies, and it was just magical. And shaking his hand, I'm like, oh my god, that's his robot hand. It's his robot hand, right? And I got a photograph of him, which was great. And then Dave Grohl. Dave, I've met many times. Dave's a hero of mine, and he's just a good dude. He's so easygoing and easy to talk to, and it's been a few years since I've seen him, but those two definitely changed.
I gotta ask what you and Mark talked about. Like, what? I mean, if you had 2 minutes, I don't know. My brain would be spinning. Like, I don't even know what I would even ask him.
A lot of it was a blur. I called him Mr. Hamill.
You remember that part?
And he's like, oh, no, call me Mark. He's very soft and right. And I was kind of bummed because he didn't have the beard.
Oh yeah.
Beard, so he shaved it off. But I just I can't tell you what an honor is. He's like, let me tell you something. It's an honor to meet you. And I just like the tears just
that sounded just like him too.
Coming down my face, right? Like not sobbing, but there's so much emotion I couldn't handle it. And there was some photo. He's like, we gotta look at the camera now. I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to dry my face. That's really all there was because it was very quick. As you can imagine, any time with Mark Hamill it's pretty short, right? He's not accessible to the public a lot. It's like Harrison Ford, right? Where he's kind of an illusion.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was the best thing. And year before that, I met Dave Prowse. And that was another trip, man, meeting him. He was sitting down in a chair, and he was as tall as I was.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so that was cool, too.
That's amazing. What was this a part of? Was this just like a... You said it wasn't production related.
It was at a fan convention.
Okay.
We had a few strings that we pulled, so we got to sneak in an area, and that's all I'll say about that. And
it wasn't production related, but you were working on a project.
No, we were just at a con.
Oh, okay.
Convention had nothing to do with anything we're shooting. Just a fan of comic book cons, right? And he was there, and we had an opportunity, and we took it. It was just incredible, man.
That is, man. I got to meet.
Go ahead.
I went to the celebration back when episode 3 was coming out in Indianapolis at the convention center, and I got to meet Peter Mayhew. Yeah, and that was pretty awesome. So my brother met Billy D.
Peter's great. I've met Billy D. Met Kenny Baker, Peter. Anthony Daniels, actually, I was standing beside in a line. I didn't even know.
No.
Literally standing beside me. We weren't in a line. We were in the middle of the convention floor. This was 2002.
Yeah.
He's just standing there. And I was looking for the Anthony Daniels booth. He's standing right beside me.
Oh my gosh.
I turned, and again, he's not an incredibly tall guy either, so I felt great about myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, Anthony, he's like, oh, hello, sir. It's like, I'm about to go see you. He's like, well, I'm right here. I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
I love all the personalities of the Star Wars, the actors. Their personalities are just amazing.
I met many prequel people. I always wanted to meet Hayden. He's a native Canadian, so I always wanted to meet Hayden. But I'm sure there'll be more opportunities now that he's in the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah.
So, cool, yeah.
Absolutely. Hopefully moving forward too with your future productions, you'll have more strings to pull to meet. I have a feeling you'll get to see Mark Hamill again though. That's my gut.
That's my goal. If we can end up at Mark's doorstep. Well, again, I don't want to wreck anything for season 1, but we end up at Rancho Obi-Wan. So that's all I got to say about that.
Wow.
And yeah. So yeah, to get Mark in the show. I mean, Lisa just says it's great to see Kevin Smith. Yeah, I mean, to have, like I said earlier, to have Kevin Smith in our show, and he's in it a bit too, which is nice. It's just crazy, man. Like this guy you grew up watching on TV, idolize, right? Idolize his comedy and his style of writing, and just to have him. And Rob made it so the credits of the movie poster we made, it was Jay Bartlett and then Kevin Smith right beside him. I was just like, I remember that day I lost it and I was like crying and stuff.
Yeah. Oh man.
Personal goal, right?
That's a dream come true right there. That is awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you much longer, Jay. I love what you're doing. You inspire me. Definitely.
Oh, thank you.
It makes me want to collect too, and I think that's the beauty of collecting too. That if you see somebody else doing it, especially somebody with your stature, but it motivates you to want to do something like that, and it kind of, I don't know, it kind of pushes you a little bit. But
I hope that the positivity comes across, because that's what we're all about. And
exactly.
Like I said, I just love to see anyone with passion follow through with that and get excited about it. If it's music, if it's comic books, if it's Pokemon, whatever you like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I just love to see people getting excited about that thing that they love.
Right.
Like I said, I'm not a Pokemon collector, but I love watching Leonhardt's videos because he's just so engaging and so excited, right? Opening those packs from like 20 years ago. So
yeah, even if you're not into that type of thing, it's contagious to you to be passionate about what you're passionate about.
I appreciate that, and thank you to all your viewers.
Like Lisa said, keep putting out all that wonderful work, Jay. It's inspiring. I think you do inspire a lot of people, and in the trailer, I was inspired that you were so selfless. You took a passion of yours and something that you are absolutely, that's your life, and you were willing to auction that off just for others. I think that's one of the most selfless acts that you could do. And that's very motivating and inspiring in itself.
I appreciate that, man. And yeah, I mean, once you've been involved with charities, and I don't know if you have or not, but anyone who's been involved, there's really no turning back once you do stuff like that. And I wanted to really make a difference. And how do you really make a difference? Money. I mean, let's just face it, that's the way the world works, right? So volunteering, I used to do a lot of volunteer work, which is great in its own right, but here's cash, put it in whatever department needs it to help save whoever.
Yeah.
And being able to go into the hospital and Children's Health Foundation, and in Action Figure Adventure, you see a child and we talk with who's very sick and has to go in there every Friday, and how friggin' scary that's got to be for a kid to go to the hospital in general is terrifying, but to go every Friday for whatever procedure you have to have, it's just, these kids inspire me, because that's an insane amount of bravery.
Yeah, I can't imagine that, and it's people like you that help keep them going as well, though, when they see that they're loved and cared for. That's all that matters. So
I appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Yes. And back talking about the appropriate age to collect and everything, that always bothered me a lot when society deemed a certain age that you need to stop collecting, and there's just so much wrong with that. I mean,
my generation, Gen X, do you know who's responsible for giving us the okay to do so? A little artist named Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane, after he did Spawn and all the Spawn toys, he brought out a line called Movie Maniacs, which were 7-inch articulated horror figures. Jason, Freddy, Ash from Evil Dead, blah, 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 Pumpkinhead. And they were specifically made for the adult collector. That was 99 to 2000. And like I said, my resurgence in adult collecting started then because Todd almost gave us the okay. He's like, it's okay to like toys, guys, because
yeah.
So it's like, yeah. And then this culture of adult collecting toys really took off. And then you weren't so creepy going to the toy section of Walmart anymore, right? It was more acceptable. Where now you go in the toy section of Walmart and there's no kids. It's all guys like us, right?
Yeah, the culture is massive now today, thankfully, because there was that stigma in time that bothered me so much that if somebody is passionate about something, the last thing that you should do, especially something as harmless as collecting, is to put them down. That is the last thing that you should do. So,
yeah, I mean, people who put people down need to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
Yes.
Because there's no way their life is perfect or in order. If you feel the need to attack somebody over something so trivial, yeah, I don't have time for stuff like that. I don't surround myself with people like that. So
and they're probably jealous as well, the passion.
Yeah, and it could be, again, you're a huge sports guy. I don't like sports, but I would never make fun of anybody for watching baseball or whatever it is they like, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's just, first of all, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
I don't need to cut people down to make myself feel better. So
exactly.
I feel sorry for those people, man. I really do.
I do too, because they definitely they always lack something that you have, and they definitely want it. But I'm so glad, Jay, keep doing what you're doing. I'm so thankful for you to come on my small channel. It means a lot to me, and just keep doing what you're doing.
I'm gonna sub. I'll check out your stuff. Yeah. Just keep working, man. You're a great dude. You have a great. It sounds strange. You have a great broadcast voice, and you're very articulate and very clear.
I appreciate that.
So just keep doing what you're doing, man, and keep doing the grind, and it's gonna pay off. I promise you that.
Well, you are welcome anytime you ever want to come on this channel, and I will continue to follow. Everybody watching this, please check out Jay's channel. He's a great guy. Check out Action Figure Adventure. Just give him all the support you can, and I will definitely be ordering my copy of Action Figure Adventure on Blu-ray tonight. I will be buying it. All right. All the support that we can give you. But thank you again so much, Jay. We'll wrap it up here, but I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and thanks again for everyone for tuning in and listening to us. Nerds.
Thank you so much, Lisa, Bombita, DeBoss, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.